HOA used my forest shed for crimes now their presidents facing federal charges. The forest was my sanctuary, a quiet sprawl of pine and cedar where I, Jack Harlan, had served as ranger for 20 years. My small shed, tucked deep in the woods, was a place for tools, maps, and solitude. That changed when the Karen Homeowners Association moved into the valley below. They were loud, entitled, and relentless, their sprawling gated community eating into the wild. I tolerated their complaints about unruly deer or noisy owls, but when I found my shed's lock broken last spring, I knew something was wrong. Inside, my tools were gone, replaced by locked crates stamped with cryptic codes. The air reeked of chemicals. I reported it to the sheriff, but he shrugged, saying the HOA's president, Margaret Voss, had permits for storage. Permits? In my shed? Suspicion gnawed at me, but I had no proof. Then came the late-night trucks, their headlights slicing through the trees, unloading more crates under the watch of armed men. I started patrolling, camera in hand, documenting every move. The HOA wasn't just pushy, they were hiding something sinister. One night, I caught Margaret herself at the shed, barking orders to a man in a black hoodie. I snapped photos, my heart pounding, but a twig cracked under my boot. They froze, and I bolted, their shouts echoing behind me. The next day, my truck's tires were slashed, and a note was pinned to my door. "Mind your own business, Ranger." I didn't. I sent my photos to a friend at the FBI, Agent Laura Chun, who promised to dig deeper. What she uncovered shook me. The crates held counterfeit cash, millions of it, funneled through the HOA's charity fund. Laura arrived in town, her sharp eyes scanning the forest as we met in secret. She revealed Margaret's ties to a larger syndicate, using the HOA as a front. The Karen tribe, as locals called them, weren't just annoying neighbors, they were a criminal network. But Laura needed hard evidence to raid the shed, and Margaret was cunning, always one step ahead. We planned to catch her in the act, but the stakes skyrocketed when I found a new crate, this one leaking a sickly sweet odor. Inside were bags of white powder, drugs. My forest, my shed, was now a hub for poison. The confrontation came on a frigid evening. Laura and I staked out the shed, hidden among the pines. Margaret arrived with her enforcer, a hulking man named Carl, and a third figure I didn't expect. Tim, the shy HOA treasurer who'd always seemed harmless. He was trembling, clutching a ledger, his voice cracking as he begged Margaret to stop. "This is too far," he whispered. "People will die." Margaret slapped him, snarling, "You're in too deep to quit." That's when Laura stepped out, badge raised, demanding their surrender. Chaos erupted. Carl lunged for Laura, but I tackled him, my flashlight cracking against his skull. Margaret screamed, grabbing a gun from her coat, but mousy Tim shoved her, sending the shot wild. He'd been feeding Laura intel for weeks, his guilt outweighing his fear. The twist hit me hard. The unlikeliest hero had turned the tide. Sirens wailed as backup arrived, cuffing Margaret and Carl. Tim collapsed, sobbing, his ledger spilling pages of damning proof. The fallout was brutal. The HOA's empire crumbled, its residents stunned as federal charges piled up. Margaret faced life in prison, her smug facade shattered in court. But the victory felt hollow. My forest was tainted, its peace stolen by greed. Tim, racked with guilt, left town, unable to face the neighbors he'd betrayed to save. Laura called it justice, but I saw only Lhasa community fractured, a sanctuary defiled. I rebuilt my shed, but the scars remain. The Karen tribe's arrogance masked a rot that nearly consumed us all. Their downfall exposed a truth. Even the loudest voices can hide the darkest sins. What would you do if your home became a battleground for justice? Share your thoughts. Where does right end and wrong begin?